Right guys, it's Finn here, welcome back to another Premier League prediction video. We're of course in Premier League Match Week 7 coming your way this weekend. We finally have the battle we've been waiting for all season. No, not Manchester City versus Liverpool. What are you on about? Adama Traore will face St. Maximin as Wolves take on Newcastle United this weekend.
Our battle will be legendary!
Now, obviously, jokes aside, I am pulling your guys' legs, but Match Week 7 looks to be another decent Premier League match week. We've got fantastic games that, as usual, you'll not want to miss, and we'll be covering all of those games in today's video. Now, the games you can expect to see this Premier League match weekend includes the likes of Manchester United versus Everton. As we know, normally quite a tight contest and normally quite entertaining to watch. We've got Burnley versus Norwich. Neither of these two teams have picked up their first win yet this season, so they'll be fighting hard for that. We've got Chelsea versus Southampton, Leeds versus Watford, Wolves versus Newcastle, which, as I said, Traore versus St. Maximin. It's bound to be entertaining. We've got Brighton versus Arsenal, which, as we know, over the last year or two, has had its friction, has had its tension, and has normally been a good one to watch. We've got Crystal Palace versus Leicester City, Tottenham Hotspurs versus Villa. Can Tottenham Hotspurs turn their form around? Can they change the way their season is going? We've got West Ham versus Brentford. Once again, Brentford only losing one game so far in their entire club's Premier League history. And to end off Premier League Match Week 7, we've got Liverpool versus Manchester City. So definitely enough quality in Premier League Match Week 7. We've got so many fantastic games to talk about in today's video. I'm so excited for it. As I said, Premier League Match Week 7 as a whole looking like it could be a very entertaining week. But before jumping into my predictions, let me ask you guys, how are you guys doing? I feel like I don't talk to you guys about that kind of stuff in general anymore, but let me get back into that. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. I hope your teams are doing well, whoever you support. I hope everything in your personal life is going well. And of course, if you are new to my channel and you're not part of this channel, if you're not subscribed, do consider subscribing down below. So close to 1,700 subscribers. If you like Premier League content, Champions League content, any kind of football content really, consider joining this channel. I would appreciate it. But jumping straight into the predictions, Manchester United Everton being the first game this match weekend, and it is a huge one. I mean, Manchester United losing your previous game to Aston Villa in the Premier League. I feel like you guys have been losing a lot of games so far this month, but Bruno Fernandes, you cannot miss an equalizing penalty in extra time. I mean, you've got Cristiano Ronaldo in your squad. He's never going to let you take another penalty again for club or country, which maybe that's a good thing. But at the end of the day, Manchester United, you didn't seem to really be able to compete with Aston Villa's intensity and pressure that they applied. And I feel like they had the same problem versus West Ham United, to be honest with you, when it was in the Carabao Cup. But versus Everton, I don't feel like Everton applied the same amount of pressure. I feel like Manchester United will get a win versus Everton. Everton themselves have had ups and downs so far this season. I mean, they started the season off looking relatively good. Then they lost 3-0 to Aston Villa. They got knocked out the Carabao Cup by QPR. And you know what? Their 2-0 win versus Norwich, not looking too bad. As I said, Everton at the moment looking slightly unpredictable, but I don't think it's a bad team whatsoever. I think they'll give United a run for their money. Decore's not looking bad at all. I feel like in attack, the likes of Damari Gray and Townsend are looking really, really good. I think Everton have got a good squad, but versus Manchester United, they've only lost one game in the Premier League so far this season. I expect United to win 2-1. I just feel like Everton, without the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, while he is still injured, I feel like they need his kind of physicality up front versus the defense. I feel like it will be a close game, but I do feel like United will get the win. And I just recently realized that the likes of Salomon Rondon, the Everton striker, has played for 3 of Rafa Benitez's clubs that he's managed before, which kind of a red flag for Everton fans, in my opinion at least. I mean, didn't we kind of learn that this could be a mistake with Ancelotti and James Rodriguez? I won't say any more on the subject, but as I said, I expect United to get a 2-1 win, and the player to watch probably going to be the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo. He's been scoring for fun as of late, and I think he'll do it again in a game like this. But jumping into the next game, Burnley versus Norwich, which, as I said, neither of these two teams have picked up a win yet, so it is going to be a crucial game for both teams, and I think Burnley will pick up a 1-0 win. I feel like defensively, once again, they are known for their defensive abilities. They can be very strong, and if you asked me in the beginning of the season, I probably would have given Norwich a win. But at the moment, I feel like Norwich have so much potential. They're not looking bad defensively, midfield-wise, attacking-wise. I feel like all the puzzle pieces are quite there, but I don't know whether they fit into the Premier League puzzle, if that makes sense. I feel like they are creating great chances, but they are way too wasteful in attack. And until they start to be less wasteful, until they start taking their chances in attack, I am going to have to give Burnley, a team with a solid defense, a win. And on the attacking front, they seem to be improving game by game. The likes of Cornet's joining their squad, I think that is a brilliant signing. they'll really change the creative aspect of this team. I feel like Burnley will get a win, will be a 1-0 win, and I feel like Wood will be the player to watch. I feel like he is a player with a creative player like Cornet in the squad. I feel like Cornet could be a player to watch, but I think he'll really help Wood rack up the numbers. As I said, I think Burnley will end up getting the win until Norwich really start to pick up in terms of their form and in terms of their creative ability up front, being more clinical. They weren't bad versus Everton. They definitely had lots of chances, but as I said, just way too wasteful. Now, jumping into the third game, it is Chelsea versus Southampton. I'm going to give Chelsea a comfortable 3-0 win. Obviously, in their previous game in the Premier League, they ended up losing to Manchester City, which unfortunately, that's the problem with a team like Chelsea who can be defensively great and has one or two really good attackers. When the attack isn't quite there, it's just a defensive team, and with a kind of pressure being applied to the defense for a full 90 minutes, there's bound to be some cracks, there's bound to be some slip-ups. I think Chelsea is a terrific team. In my opinion, I would say that they are the best in the Premier League in terms of individuals this season, should get a win versus Southampton. But saying that, Southampton aren't looking bad this season. They've gotten big draws so far this season. Yes, I think they're still yet to get a win, but they've drawn versus Manchester City, versus Newcastle United, versus Manchester United, and versus West Ham. Southampton could end up getting a draw in a game like this. Obviously, they lost 1-0 to Wolves in their previous game, but they definitely had their chances and they looked like they could have gone ahead on multiple occasions. But versus Chelsea, I expect Chelsea to get the win. Defensively, as I said, solid. I expect a clean sheet, a 3-0 win, and in terms of a player to watch, it just has to be good old Didier Drogba. Ooh, did I say Drogba? I meant Romelu Lukaku. What a fantastic player he's turned out to be. Once again, another player who is scoring for fun. Next up, we've got the likes of Leeds United versus Watford. Now, weirdly enough, I kind of view these two teams as equal so far this season in the way that they play. On the attacking front, I feel like both teams have been really good and really promising. Midfield-wise, they seem to be getting the ball from defense to attack really well, but both teams having their fair defensive amount of mistakes, and both teams having brilliant goalkeeper displays so far. The likes of Ben Foster, the cycling GK, which Ben, please contact me. What am I kidding? Ben Foster, the cycling goalkeeper, is never going to end up watching my prediction video, but fantastic performance in his previous game for Watford versus Newcastle United. He had some crucial saves. Obviously, looking at Leeds United, I really do feel like Melia could be a world-class goalkeeper one day. He kept Leeds United in their previous performance. Unfortunately, a loss versus West Ham United. But as I said, Leeds United defensively, I've been a bit worried about them. And on the attacking front, I feel like they almost rely a bit too heavily on Rafinha so far this season. Has created beautiful chance, but players like Bamford and the likes of Daniel James, they need to step up to the next level. And until then, believe it or not, I'm going to give Watford the win in this. I'm going to give Watford a 1-0 win. As I said, defensively, I feel like they're just slightly more solid than Leeds at the moment. Creative wise, up front, the likes of Saar has looked really deadly. He is going to be my player to watch. As I said, at the moment, I've just been slightly more impressed with Watford, and I feel like either of these two teams would win, but I'm just going to go for Watford. I feel like that's an interesting pick to put out there. Next up, we've got the likes of Wolves versus Newcastle, which in terms of a prediction, it's a tiny bit of a weird one, because in the last 5 meetings, I repeat, 5 Premier League meetings between these two teams, it has only been 1-1 draws, which is such a weird stat to look for. I've always complained on this channel or on my prediction series that I don't predict draws enough. Surely this is a sign that I should predict a draw. No, I'm not going to. I'm going to predict a winner, and I am going to predict the likes of Newcastle United to win. If you asked me last season, I would have deadly given you Wolves. I would have said Wolves 100% of the way. But once again, as I said, haven't been that convinced. I feel like they need to have more promising performances. I'm glad Jimenez finally got on the score sheet for Wolves. That is obviously a huge plus. But versus Southampton, I wouldn't say they were by miles the better team. They conceded a lot of chances versus Southampton. And I feel like versus the trickery of St. Maximum up front, it could be a real problem. Which, by the way, I want you guys to tell me down below. Would you rather watch Wolves versus Newcastle, or would you rather watch a foot race between Traore and St. Maximum? It's going to be a really entertaining game to watch. But I just feel like, once again, Newcastle United, I've been very impressed with them. Maybe not necessarily in terms of results, but in terms of performances, I feel like they have been the better team, especially compared to Wolves. They should get the result, and my player to watch, once again, St. Maximum. He is brilliant, and I think he'll continue that in a game like this. Now, next up, we've got Brighton versus Arsenal, which, once again, I've got quite a few fond memories of this game as a neutral. I feel like it's quite a hard-hitting impact kind of game. There's lots of friction and tension between these two teams. Now, Arsenal have been in a good run of games as of late. I mean, they beat Tottenham Hotspurs 3-1 in their previous game. Arsenal, I'm so sorry for anything bad I've ever said about you. I mean, to get a result like that, that is huge. 3 games in a row where you guys have been winning your games. Yes, although versus Burnley and Norwich for 2 of those games. At the end of the day, football is a confidence game where if your team has confidence, you can really go places. And I feel like Arsenal will get a win versus Brighton. I think Ramsdale has proven that maybe he should be Arsenal's #1 goalkeeper. He's been brilliant. Arsenal as a whole isn't looking that bad. They've been a lot more clinical up front in terms of their attackers. I feel like Arsenal will get the win versus Brighton. But once again, I wouldn't be surprised if the result went another way. Brighton have been terrific so far this season, the way they've played from defense all the way to attack. Mbappe, once again, looking like a really good goal scorer. At this rate, he'll easily get 10 goals at least this season. But as I said, as a whole, because of Arsenal's form, I'm going to give them a win. My player to watch, I'm going to go for the likes of Aubameyang. He's gotten on the score sheet a lot as of late, and I think he'll do it once again in a game like this. Now jumping on to the next fixture, we've got Crystal Palace versus Leicester. Now I cannot tell you how deep down in my bones I want to give Crystal Palace a win. I think the likes of Gallagher, the likes of Edouard, I feel like the team as a whole has been performing so well. They almost got that win versus Brighton, but of course conceded that equaliser in the 95th minute of the game. Leicester City not looking good so far this season, so many defensive mistakes, but at the end of the day, I'm going to give Leicester City this win. Obviously looking at Jamie Vardy in their previous game, I thought he seriously carried Leicester City versus Burnley, which you would hate to say. You don't feel like Leicester City should have to carry themselves versus that, but just the hunger you see in Jamie Vardy's eyes, which I thought he only had hunger for sausage rolls and Monster Energy, but at the end of the day, he's got such a hunger for goal, Jamie Vardy. I think he's just such a terrific player overall. I feel like the hunger he's got, I think Pereira on the right side, I think Tielemans, I think this team as a whole, if they get their stuff together and they play like they should, like they play like they do in the beginning of most seasons, I feel like they should dominate a game like this. As I said, hurts me because Crystal Palace have been doing well lately, but I'm going to give Leicester City a 1-0 win, and I think Jamie Vardy will be the difference maker, the player to watch. Now jumping on to the next game, I believe it is the third last game, Tottenham versus Villa. Now Tottenham Hotspurs have conceded 9. I repeat, 9 goals in their last 3 games. 3 versus Crystal Palace, 3 versus Arsenal, 3 versus Chelsea. It is not looking good for Tottenham Hotspurs at the moment. I don't know what's happened to their form, to be honest with you, but at the end of the day, they need to get their stuff together. Defensively, they've just been way too lazy in my opinion. Attacking wise, Harry Kane, I mean, are we sure he still plays for the club? Are we sure he didn't end up leaving in the summer? His performance has been woeful, which by the way guys, once again, if you want to see a video that I made talking about the problems at Tottenham Hotspurs, what I believe all the problems are with the club, whether I think Harry Kane should leave or stay, that kind of stuff, I recently made a video about that. I'll pop it up in the eye thingy up above. It should be about there. But Tottenham Hotspurs, you have not been good at the moment. Aston Villa, a very impressive win versus Manchester United. The pressure you applied, if you apply the same pressure to the same Tottenham Hotspurs mistakes, I feel like Aston Villa could really get the win. But once again, I just feel like Tottenham Hotspurs, once again, when they are good, they are brilliant. Don't forget the way they started the season, winning their first 3 games, Nuno Santo getting the manager of the month. I feel like Spurs, when they get momentum rolling, they can be deadly, and I think it will start in a game like this. I think Tottenham Hotspurs will end up getting am I going to go for a 2-1 win? I think that's probably what I'm going to end up going for, and I feel like Heung-min Son will be the player to watch because I've learned my lesson. Harry Kane is not the man to watch. I mean, I predicted that he would score 2 goals versus Arsenal. How wrong was I? But jumping into the second last game for this match week, it is West Ham United versus Brentford. Now, Brentford have only lost 1 game in their Premier League history. That is mad. The results they've gotten, they drew 3-3 versus Liverpool. Brentford is not a team to sleep on, and they could easily be a mid-table team this season. They could easily break into the top 10. They have been looking that deadly. West Ham United, as we know from time to time, deadly. Antonio, a brilliant striker. Defensively, they're looking really good with Kurt Zouma. I think these 2 teams will go at it. They'll give it everything they have. I feel like it will be such an entertaining game, and I just really can't break these 2 teams. I can't divide these 2 teams. I'm going to put it down as a 2-2 draw, mostly because I just genuinely don't want to predict Brentford to lose at the moment. It seems impossible almost. So I'm going to predict a draw, and my player to watch, probably going to go for the likes of Antonio. Once again, he's just a brilliant player overall. I mean, he once again just scoring for fun. Over the last year or 2, he's become such another next level striker in my opinion. Definitely one to watch. Right, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to our final game of Premier League Match Week 7, Liverpool versus versus Manchester City, which, by the way, obviously, if you're not subscribed and you have enjoyed this video up until this point, it only makes sense that you do subscribe, so please do consider doing so. I would really appreciate it. But looking at Liverpool versus Manchester City, as we know, these are two title contending, title challenging teams facing each other. It's always been an entertaining game to watch, especially over the last 4 or so years. But Liverpool have only won 1 in their last 6 games versus Man City in the Premier League. Can they change it around? I think looking at Liverpool, they've been terrific as of late, whether it's Champions League, Premier League. Yes, they drew 3-3 to Brentford, but I just think Brentford have been really good at the moment. Attacking wise, Mo Salah has looked top form. The likes of Firmino is even scoring. Mane has definitely picked up form from last season. Defensively, not bad whatsoever. But looking at Manchester City, once again, there's just something about Manchester City that always catches my attention. But I have been slightly worried about them because they have lost valuable points so far this season. A draw versus Southampton, a loss versus Tottenham Hotspurs. At the end of the day, I just think Manchester City are losing some really weird points, and it could be a real problem versus Liverpool. But at the end of the day, looking at these two teams, look, it is going to be a close one. I feel like it will be a 1-0 win either way, whoever wins up winning it. Something in my head tells me that Liverpool will win it, but my heart kind of says Manchester City. So you know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to go with my heart. I think Manchester City are going to win another one. Just by looking at these two teams, how they played over the last few years, Manchester City have won majority of the recent games between these two teams, and I think they'll end up getting a 1-0 win versus Liverpool. As I said, I think it could genuinely go either way, and in terms of a player to watch, it depends who plays, it depends who's fit. If a player like Phil Foden is truly back in the squad, he will be my player to watch. Otherwise, someone like Jack Grealish and that, I don't feel like that's a bad shout whatsoever. So a 1-0 win to Manchester City is what I'm going to go for. But that, ladies and gentlemen, will be it for my Premier League Match Week 7 predictions. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Of course, you guys seem to be enjoying my predictions in general lately, whether it be Champions League, whether it be Premier League. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I enjoy making them, and I hope you guys somewhat agree with some of my opinions. If you did disagree with any, let me know in the comment section down below. As I said, if you're not subscribed and you want to see more of my content, make sure to subscribe down below. But Premier League Match Week 7, it is bound to be a fantastic one. So many entertaining games as usual. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. Premier League, one of the greatest leagues in the world. You're always going to be entertained every single week. But thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Finn, FYNN. Until next time, cheers.